the last Chicago visitor left.
Police in this country were institutionally racist. That was defining.
Surprise, surprise, man. Sounds like America again. Top of the morning, blokes. Nah, man. Out here with the bro again. We finna start the day. Finna hit the market before we pop out. I just wanted to let y'all see this beautiful day, man. We finally caught a good one. This is what, day 3? Yeah. So hopefully it ain't too windy, but yeah, I just wanted y'all to see, man, it ain't super great every single day. We finally caught a nice cloudless sky. The wind blowing, so it's still kind of cool. It's only like, what'd you say, 70 at best?
Yeah, that's the high.
Yeah, the high is 70, so it ain't like it's hot, but at least we got some sunshine for a minute. We ain't freezing. Thank God for that, man. Hopefully we get a couple more days like it. See, you know there's some Caribbeans around. We at Marcus Garvey Way. Right up the street from the market. We had a celebration, demonstration in the Brixton market here at my brother's shop. We just met this brother and this sister right here. They just made us laugh. We was telling them about our experience yesterday searching for that museum that didn't even exist. And then they like, you looking for a black museum in Soho? like we should have knew better just from the location, man. But could you tell us about your shop? Well, let me catch this too. He put us on. He was like, "Oh, you from Chicago? You're not the first Chicago man to come here. This is the last Chicago visitor left on top of the dollar, man. So shout out to you." But he got a beautiful shop in here. Could you tell us a little bit about what it is, what you're doing here?
Okay, so this is I'm Wayne Campbell, and this is a celebration of demonstration.
Okay.
Celebration of demonstration is a space, is a book, is a movement, and will hopefully be a brand that shines a light on the protest nature of people within the city of London.
Okay.
George Floyd was murdered, and I was angry. And I wasn't sure what I could do as an individual. And then I realized, well, the universe said, you need to record it. So I rushed out with my weapons and started to shoot all of the anger. And in doing so, I realized that there was also love, hope, and joy.
Yes, sir.
So I kind of put all of that together into this book called The Celebration of Demonstration.
Yeah, that's fire.
And what this book is a historic document of how Londoners came together to say enough's enough. And I wanted to capture the history in my community, because so often our history becomes his story.
Yes, sir.
And
that's a fact.
that felt so wrong. So I went from demonstration to demonstration, all in London, just taking pictures of what people were going through, what they were saying, what they were feeling, and even capturing some really, really key moments. This is John Boyega from Star Wars fame. He came out and he spoke. And what was powerful about John speaking was that Star Wars was just about to come out, and he was telling us that he was asked not to be a mouthpiece for Black Lives Matter because they didn't want to kind of get in the way of the promotion.
Right.
But he came out and he said he needed to do this. You know, at the time we were going through a pandemic, But for a lot of black people, I can't speak for all black people, but I know that racism was my pandemic.
Facts.
So we were going through COVID and we were going through racism. So it was necessary for me to go out and to capture what was going on.
Yeah, racism is a much bigger problem than COVID. Longer lasting, deeper roots, you know?
I'm telling you, you know. But not only was I taking the pictures, I was also illustrating. So for example, this is a picture I took outside the American Embassy in Nine Elms. And then this is the illustration I made of the picture.
Oh, wow.
So one represents what I was seeing, and one represents what I was feeling.
Okay.
So, but
and that's fire. You a dope artist too, brother.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's fire.
But what's for me the most important thing about this space isn't my activism. It's your activism. People come in, they take a piece of paper, and they write a message and they add to the wall. So if you just look at the walls, you can see that there are hundreds of messages that people have added to the wall in all languages. Yeah, and that is powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
You know? So for me, that's one of the things that I wanted to capture. I wanted this to be a space where people could come, listen, learn, laugh, cry, scream, shout, understand, teach, all things protest. I grew up in Brixton. And I remember Brixton when it was considered in the same sentence as Compton and Johannesburg as being the worst places in the world to visit.
Oh, damn.
And to now come back some years later and have my gallery nestled between frappuccinos and lattes just goes to show how much has changed.
Yeah, it's wild.
Gentrification, evolution will change. Change is inevitable, but it's important that we remember our history.
Yes, sir.
So spaces like this allow people to come in and stay connected with the history of Brixton, the history of protest, and the history of our community.
Yes, sir. And change is inevitable, but you also want the right type of change. You know what I mean? You want to change for the better. Basically, like the guys in the earth said, you want to build on the positive and destroy the negative, man. Because you can change for the worse, too. We had the same issue in Chicago. It's a lot of spots that get gentrified. I'm from Inglewood. They've been trying to gentrify Inglewood for like the last 5-10 years. It hasn't been working so well, but that's what they've been doing all around Chicago the last few decades, man. So we definitely can relate.
Okay.
And it's a trip to see, to your point, the difference of like, this is what it was like when I was growing up to today.
It's
whole
changed.
nother area, yeah.
But you know what, I think it's about trying to keep staying real and trying to create a voice for the voiceless.
Yes, sir.
And that has, at times, it's been tricky, but at the same time, it's been really powerful and moving. We had a talk here last night, and it was how art influences politics. We had 3 speakers.
Okay.
It was packed, and it was powerful. I just want to be able to get people to remember that they have a voice, that they need to learn how to use their voice, and they should use their voice.
Hey man, I appreciate what you're doing, brother. That's big. That's beautiful, man. Hey, so can I ask you though? You say this was all motivated like with George Floyd and what happened in America. So is there any history of? I mean, I'm sure it is protesting and any major issues that happened in Brixton before.
Oh, you heard of the riots, right?
We've heard of them. We don't know the history.
These guys were a lot younger than us.
Okay.
They're not going to be remembered.
Right, and so I think
Maybe not a lot. I don't know, man. I got a couple grades, man. I'm right behind you, I think.
They're a lot younger than us.
I know.
But you know, we American too, so we might have never got the history. So,
okay, so Brixton is, I don't want to say famous for its riots. Brixton's famous for its jerk chicken. It's famous for its atmosphere, its community. I don't want to say it's famous for its riots, but there have been 2 major riots. First one, I believe, was 1982, and that came about because I think it was Cherry Gross.
okay.
Her house was raided, and I think the police kicked in the door, armed police. They ran through her house, and she was shot. And she was shot. She was paralyzed. She didn't die, but she was paralyzed. And then that caused an uprising. So people caught wind of what had happened and how the whole operation was conducted.
And wait a minute, why did they go in her house in the first place?
I think they were I think it may have had something to do with her son.
Like a raid or something?
Yeah, it was like a raid.
So ain't that like Breonna Taylor?
Oh, yeah, but you know what? And the weirdest thing is, Cherry Gross was also, I think she was lying in bed. I think she was also arrested while she was shot. So in that case,
that's a damn shame, man. See, black people go through the same thing no matter what part of the world we in.
yeah, I think there's probably been about 3.
Oh, wow.
But since then, there were other widespread riots. There was after the shooting of Mark Duggan.
Mount Duggan.
Mark Duggan. And that was, don't quote me.
That's relatively recent.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in the last
You know what I mean?
25
Yeah,
years.
because you also got to remember things that happened like New Cross, the New Cross fire. Those things as well were all relevant around that time as well.
Yeah.
Because we were teenagers.
Well, New Cross was
So what you think around like the 2000s, the 90s, something?
Oh no,
we're talking about 80s.
Like the 80s.
End of the 70s,
Okay.
80s. New Cross fire. There was a house fire in New Cross.
Yeah.
What it was is there was a party happening. I think somebody threw a firebomb through the window, and a number of young adults were killed.
It's terrible, man.
But the way the police investigated it was so shocking. It was terrible. And then there was an uprising.
What you mean? Like a lack of an investigation? That's what you
Yeah,
mean?
it was just like, so who died? Some black people.
Ah, okay. Oh, well. What else we got to do today?
Yeah, but you've heard of Stephen Lawrence. I'm assuming you've heard of Stephen Lawrence.
Tell you,
And
they keep us ignorant in America. They don't teach us
That's
history.
probably one of the biggest.
You've heard of Stephen Lawrence.
I think so.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, it ain't just us then.
That was one of the biggest.
So
Okay.
educators, who is
Okay,
this?
so Stephen Lawrence was a teenager who, when going home with a friend of his, were at a bus stop and they were assaulted by a group of 4 white youths. Stephen was stabbed. They ran. After about 100 meters or so, Stephen collapsed and died. The ensuing police investigation had members of the public calling out the police saying that they saw who killed Stephen.
So they had witnesses.
Yeah, they had witnesses. And the police took their time initially to round up the witnesses.
Right.
And when they did, they suppressed some of the information. They didn't use some of the information, so it went to trial. And the guys got off. And it was the biggest miscarriage of justice.
Yeah.
What was really big about it was that it actually got a lot of media attention. It was featured in a number of the newspapers, and it was cast as this massive travesty of justice.
Right.
So the family then took out a private prosecution. So the criminal prosecution didn't work, so they took out a private prosecution.
Okay.
And they went through the whole process again. They had 2 prosecutions. It was 2 private. So the first private prosecution, again, the evidence was so stacked high. It was, you know what I mean?
Like it's obvious.
Yeah, he said, we can see you got blood on your fingers. We can see it shoot.
Facts.
But yet they got away again for a lack of evidence.
Yeah, man.
So on this point, there was a national newspaper that did their own investigation and then found so much corruption within the police force. So it went to another prosecution, and I think 2 of the 4 were convicted.
It was how many years later?
This was a lot of years, so this was so many years later. And what it did is it prompted an investigation which was called the McPherson investigation, McPherson report, which found that the police in this country were institutionally racist. That was the finding.
Surprise, surprise, man. Sounds like America again. Okay.
You know?
And that was 1992.
Okay, so
maybe a little bit.
So, well, this is fake.
Yeah,
This is fake.
You were
Plus years ago,
going,
yeah.
you were going over 30 years ago.
Yeah, but still, that's relatively recent, like you're saying. That ain't that long ago.
This is. I suppose roughly, because when did Rodney King happen?
And that was the 90s.
That was earlier.
That was early 90s.
That was early 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But they were both in the 90s, though, weren't they?
I thought Rodney King was late 80s, personally.
Nah, I was a young kid.
Yeah.
This was early 90s because I was born in 88 and I remember the election going on. I remember the election going on and the white people were like panicking and all that, and I was a kid, so it had to be like early 90s. Maybe mid, something like that.
But I think Stephen was...
Wait, I'm sorry. Not to cut you. You said Rodney King.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, not Rodney King, you know what I'm thinking of, OJ.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, you're right.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was 93.
Stephen Lawrence?
Yeah.
93.
April 93. Yeah.
And Rodney King was?
Oh, that.
Because I remember seeing that footage. I remember seeing these police officers, and it was the strangest thing because you had other people all around. You had police car, police officers all around them, just taking turns to hit him.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Oh god.
And then seeing George Floyd, you know, brought up that same level of anxiety.
Fact.
So when I say this body of work was born out of fear, sorry, of rage, of anger. Just seeing
91.
91.
So that was very close.
2 years in
Yeah.
it. So yeah, you had your Rodney King, and then we had our Stephen Lawrence. So close to each other.
Almost at the same
You know what I'm
time.
saying? We didn't riot for Stephen Lawrence, though, did we?
No, but you know what? It was his mother that made this happen. She's a baroness now for the work she did. And
Yeah,
she
She brought out the McPherson report.
Shout out to the Queen.
Yeah, the McPherson report. When it came out, white people were like, nah.
Yeah.
They were like, nah, you talking about? What do you mean the police are institutional? What do you mean? It's like,
I've never met a racist cop in my life. Like, of course not.
But it didn't come as a surprise to black people.
No.
Yeah, facts. Because we the ones that deal with it. I've had it myself, man. The police broke my nose, cracked my rib when I was like 15 years old. Locked me and my brother up and then charged us with battery to a police officer like we attacked them. So it was a whole thing. I had to go to court. It took like 2 years. We ended up suing them and we won. They settled out of court.
Wow.
But yeah, that's not unusual. It's very similar. Everything y'all saying sounds like what we go through over there, man.
So what was it like for you seeing the whole George Floyd? I mean, emotionally, what did it make you? Because it happens all the time. So you've had so many cases. So was George Floyd different? Did it feel different?
To be honest with you, brother, and you know, I don't want to upset anybody, but I gotta keep it a buck. It didn't really hit me emotionally like that. I was very surprised to see the reaction of everybody else around the world. That was a beautiful thing to see. But to your point, because we see it so regularly in America, it didn't really shock me like that. It was messed up. You know, excuse my friends, but it was fucked up.
Yeah.
Definitely. But for me to have gone through it, my friends, my family, it's like this is life over here. I'm just happy that it was caught on camera. And again, I appreciate everybody around the world for rallying behind it, because that was what moved me the most. It's terrible that the brother died, but like that happens all the time in America, man.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not, I hate to even say that. It's like I'm desensitized, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. When I watched the video, it wasn't like I felt any, like what was your reaction, bro?
Same. Like I had to say I was desensitized, but we see it so often. And what it was the movement that came from it.
Yeah.
To see us come together and finally say enough is enough.
Okay.
You know.
So Breonna Taylor, did that feel different? Did Trayvon Martin, did that feel different?
Trayvon might have been the one that bothered me the most. Because he was a kid. I was working at a law firm at the time. And of course, like, mostly white, Jewish. I was actually the only brother that worked there. The only other black guys, like, it was some women, so it was black secretary. And the only black men worked in the mail room. So I was like the only brother there. And I remember when it happened, they were sending around a petition, like trying to get a bunch of signatures to prosecute the guy and all of this. I sent a company-wide email, and they had offices in like 5 cities. So this went to thousands of people. And so, you know, after I sent it, they came and talking about, you wasn't supposed to do that. Even some of the black folks sounded like slaves. Like, you know, you gonna get in trouble. You shouldn't. And I'm like, man, it is what it is. This job is not permanent, man, but I only get one opportunity to do this. So I don't regret it. I didn't get fired or in trouble, but they came and talked to me like, you know, you're not supposed to use the email system for this and da-da-da.
But what I do think, though, is I think your generation, the younger generation, are much more vocal than we were. As we are much more vocal than what happened.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the voices are a lot stronger, and you're much more willing to put yourselves out there.
Facts.
In a way, you know, those kind of comments like, "Oh no, you shouldn't do it like that." Do you know? That's
Yeah.
the kind of thing that would have happened in that time.
Why you get this coonery out of here?
Right. Exactly. So no, and that's the great thing about it is that your generation are vocal and not scared.
True, but I gotta say, much respect and love to your generation, because
we sucked up a lot.
yeah, man, y'all dealt with some harsher, you know what I mean? So nah, it's
blatant,
Yeah, so it's like it's much love and respect on both sides
Yeah.
because we all go through it, but it's different versions of it.
Yes.
So, like, yeah, shout out to the youth for being more vocal and active, but shout out to y'all because, man, it was rough. Hey, I went through some real shit, you know?
Yeah.
So we're not gonna keep you all day, man. I'm glad we got to meet you all. Found out Ant got a Brixton twin, man. They both representing. You know what I'm saying? But no, it was a pleasure, man. I'm glad we found your spot. Plug, where can they get your book? Where can they buy it and access and show some support?
Okay, you can. My Instagram is a celebration of demonstration.
Okay.
And my website is wacfu.com.
Okay.
Stands for Wayne Anthony Campbell, full of originality.
Ah, that's fire. I like that. All right. My brother, my sister, my other brother. It was a pleasure meeting y'all. Thank you for your time and the information, because I know if we didn't know this, they don't know it.
Exactly.
And even the brother from here, he might not have been familiar with everything. So it's good to keep this information
He lives in the
going.
country.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
I mean, so,
All right. Well, gratitude, man.
thank you.
You know it's Jamaicans around if it's some Ray and nephew, man. I like the mural though. Shout out to the artists out here.